are we going to be limp-wristed and just kind of say, well, whatever the federal government says, we'll just take it? And I read James' original document, and it was brave, and it was strong, and it said, come here and take it. Come and take it from us. You can. And I've read the second document, and it says, it is a document written out of fear. Fear, what if they come for us? What if we do something that they don't like? What if we lose money? What if we lose funding? And you have the opportunity to be brave and to lead the way, to make sure that our, thank you, James. You have the opportunity, James, to be brave and lead the way and, blaze a trail for the rest of the states in Missouri, the rest of the counties in Missouri, to put something forth that other counties can adopt. So I would hope that we choose, and I realize that it could cost some money. My choice, and I think that these people would say, if you choose to be brave and it costs us a little bit of money, and we are free, make that choice versus if you choose to put something forth that's limp-wristed, that doesn't do anything to protect our freedom, and we become slaves.
Yes. Amen.
Amen.
Okay.
On that note, I just wanted to say, if we do lose federal funding, there's no way that we're going to let our sheriff's department go without what they need. We will rally together, especially in the day and age of, crowdsource funding and GoFundMe and things like that. We'll get them what they need. So I don't want that fact that we might lose federal funding to limit what we're doing here.
It should never be about the money.
Amen.
Yeah. And then, if I could throw one last thing in, I agree 100% with what you're saying, in that the original document, very simple, very clean, and one of the key things that I've seen in the research I've done, in the places where you put in a clean document like that, one county steps forward. Like I say, Illinois' got 22 of them now. You're going to talk about cutting off federal funding, they're going to have to cut it off to 22 of them in Illinois. In Virginia, the same thing happens. If it's a clean document, it basically
Miller,
is tied to
Morgan,
the state and the federal
McLean,
constitution.
all of them, I showed it to all of them.
This is like a movement, and we should be part of this.
Great. Make a motion. Okay.
See wording business with the COVID-19. I don't think that we should be mandated anything injected against people, and that our protections there should also be enacted, because just from a personal standpoint, my entire little nuclear family has been genetically tested, and we are actually susceptible to toxicity. We cannot detox the things that are in the vaccines, and we are at a higher risk of developing diseases or even dying from having things injected. And I want protections for my family, and I want protections for everybody that feels the same. Yep.
Okay. Sean?
The 5.3 million we got from the federal money this last, whatever. I mean, this time, right? Yeah. No,
Well, I mean, flat out, there were no strings attached to it. We use the money or not. Well, you got one or two choices here. You can either take that money and do something good for the county with it,
but we know that
or
that's
you can
not
send
true,
it
that
send
money
it back
came
and
from
they will
somewhere.
waste it on somebody else.
But that money came from somewhere, us.
Yeah.
Federally paying for it. So you can say one thing or the other, but we're still paying for it. Like, you want to.
Well, we're going to have to pay for the rest of the nation that's shut down, too.
Amen.
All those businesses are broke, and we'll have to pay for it.
Real quick, just a question. Anybody lose money because they had to shut down their business? I had to shut down my business. I lost money. I lost people. You want to shut down again?
But what is the hospital saying right now? The health, you know what I mean? Like, why are they sending us these messages and we're giving them money to fund, like, to put the messages out if we don't believe in it? They're already doing it. Like, why don't we stop
Well,
it
you
now?
know, in April, when all this stuff came down, actually probably in March,
when this stuff was coming down the pipe, no one knew what we were dealing with. We seen on the news what was happening in Italy. We seen on the news what was happening in New York City. And from the perspective of the two communities that are here now that have decisions, our view was kind of, well, let's give this 30 days and find out what happens, and then we'll open up. And our view was, at the end of 30 days, one or two things was going to happen. Either it would look like that they were wrong with their numbers, and we could just go ahead and see what we could take our risk with the economy opening up, or if it was as bad as they said at the end of 30 days, we weren't going to need any more ordinances because everybody wouldn't be living. Beginning of last.
You know, it lives and dies by its reputation. People normally don't come down until June. Public health ordinances, we went along with the state, and the numbers in the beginning were then the next 10 cases of the virus within our community had stopped. So in one fell swoop, we were sending and we refused to pass. Because we, instead of the 2 to 4 million, but it was really.
Were very brave.
We actually knew about 2 weeks before Memorial Day that we were intending to be open because we had to notify all the major restaurants. You need to order food, you need to hire staff, we're opening up. So we knew it was going to happen, but that 2-week period after Memorial Day, when we were on the national news, if it had gone south, it would have went south with our local population. And it's easy to set and second guess this, but when my good friend died, telling me to stay open, that's tough stuff. When your friends die. I didn't want to be the guy that watched all of my friends die because of my decisions. I stick by that 30 days, and at the end of the 30 days, I stick by that too. Something else is going to come down the road sooner or later. And to be honest with you, most of what I'm seeing here corresponds with what my dad said when I asked him in 2007, what did people do back then? And he said, Greg, he said the government can't do anything about that stuff. You either, when something like that comes through, which this is not the first time. I'm a student. I do family history research, and I found out a lot of things that happened in like the 1880s, the pandemic then. I researched several pandemics where tons of people died. And it's happened again and again and again in our nation's history. My dad said, well, back then, we just went on about our business, and you either lived or you died. And everybody was comfortable with either living or dying, because everybody in this room here is at least reasonably, mostly probably over 30. 70 or 80 years from now, everybody in this room is going to be dead. And it ain't going to make any difference except for our children and grandchildren. Most of what you're talking about here, I agree with. And my buddy, that one that I was just tearing up about that died, he said, Greg, you have to stay open. He posted some Facebook posts about the difference between how that virus could tell the difference between going to Walmart and going to church. I mean, that was his last post. In less than 2 weeks after that post, he was dead. I went to that funeral, and there was probably 150 people there, and two folks, elderly folks, were wearing a mask, and no one else was. That's been the general consensus of the folks that live here now. But there's a big difference between being out in the public and do it and having to sit here and make those decisions. And we're in a position, the three of us now, to have to make those decisions.
Thank you today.
I'm comfortable with most everything that's in this. I'm comfortable with. I'd like to get it cleaned up and see if we can do something right away.
By in this, do you mean the original ordinance or the revised resolution?
Well, the one James just read.
There's two things, resolution and an ordinance. Did you make a motion to pass the ordinance?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We want the ordinance to stand in the way.
that's the
against
Second
all
Amendment,
mandates.
gun sanctuary, and then the ordinance. At least it's on paper saying this is who we are, this is what we believe, and yeah, we do need to clean some of it up, because like she said, calling it COVID-19 isn't probably the best language, because who knows what it'll be down the road.
Yeah.
Is this something that we can get that today?
Well, I think, if we're going to clean it up a little bit, I think we put it on for,
Well, we need to clean it up before we pass it, but.
we can put it on for, can we get it done by Thursday?
Well, I don't see that Second Amendment thing. I think we can pass it right now.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'd entertain a motion.
You gotta make
Go
one.
ahead, it's yours.
It's yours, do it.
Go ahead, go ahead.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve number 11 of the resolution introduced by James Gohagan, that individuals shall have the right to keep and bear arms in defense of his home, person, and personal property.
Hold on a second. That's not it.
Okay, we had a motion on the floor.
This is what I read earlier. I can't get it to pull up on here, but
It's yours, the one about concealment.
that's in the resolution where we were having the disconnect. The ordinance, SAP, SAPA, Second Amendment Gun Sanctuary. All federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations, whether past, present, or future, which infringe on the people's right to bear arms as guaranteed by the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution, and Article 1, Section 23 of the Missouri Constitution shall be invalid in this county, shall not be recognized by this county, or specifically rejected by this county, and shall be considered null and void and of no effect in this county. Such federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations include, but that are not limited to, the provisions of the Federal Gun Control Act of 1934, the provisions of the Federal Gun Control Act of 1968. Section C, any tax, levy, fee, or stamp imposed on firearms, firearm accessories, or ammunition not common to all other goods and services which could have a chilling effect on the purchase or ownership of those items by law-abiding citizens. I mean, you can't, it's hard to get ammo right now, folks.
It is. Very.
Any registering or tracking of owners or of firearms, firearm accessories, or ammunition which could have a chilling effect on the purchase of ownership or of those items by law-abiding citizens. Any act forbidding the possession of or ownership or use or transfer of any type of firearm, firearm accessory, or ammunition by law-abiding citizens, Section G, this last part. Any act ordering the confiscation of firearms, firearm accessories, or ammunition from law-abiding citizens. And that's the Second Amendment, Preservation Act, Gun
Yep.
Sanctuary. That's what.
Go ahead and make that as a motion then.
Well, wait a minute, do we have a paper copy? Can we get a paper copy of what we're talking about here so that we have something to enter into the minutes?
Yeah, I sent it to you guys. Final revision, that's. It's not hooked up to the computer.
I thought I had what you emailed me here.
All right.
You need to adjourn the meeting and read
That the record just that.
Actually, I want a paper copy if we're going to make a
But
motion.
did Don just make a
Should-
second to what he did? Resolved?
Can we email this to somebody and have them print it out?
I'm
Oh,
gonna go to Kendra's other.
Well, let's get a paper copy.
I don't know what, is it Kendra underscore? Okay.
Let's, I want to just sit back and get the paper copy so that if we make a motion and we got a second and we vote on it, that we got a piece of paper in front of us. That way, it'll get entered into the minutes and then we'll, with regard to the rest of this and the overall thing, I think we would like to maybe look at cleaning this up and maybe by Thursday, put it back on the agenda. Okay. You know, it's a little bit of a crapshoot here, Jim. My point of view on this is, if we have to change something later.
I'm gonna go over to Kendra's office.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, all you folks are here. I just saying, get a piece of paper. Because I am anticipating, and I hope that it doesn't happen, and I'm anticipating that the discord in our nation is going to get worse, not better. I'm saddened by what I've seen over the course of the last couple of years. I don't know what the outcome is, but I got a pretty good idea that it's not going to be good.